the cab off of the chassis sitting here on some jack stands, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to put it back on the cart and move it because I completely closed myself in and can't get to the bead roller. So first thing we're gonna do is put this back on wheels, push it off to the side. We've already got the template made for the firewall, all cut out exactly how we want it for our indent around the motor, transferred sheet metal to cut that, and as soon as I get that done on the bead roller, then we'll put this back and start welding this thing together. Ready to go, looks freaking beautiful. Everything is prepped on here except a few holes I want to punch in this lower panel right here, and that'll be for me to rosette weld the firewall in. And like I said before, all this will get all butt welded together. So we'll go ahead and punch those holes in there, slide that firewall down in, and I've got a few things. So when I decided to do this on the firewall, this obviously changes this 1/2 inch across the bottom of where the firewall attaches. If you look in here, this piece goes absolutely straight across. So I'm going to measure over on the firewall, both sides, to where it starts to curve in, and then I'm going to, I think, just hammer and dolly and bring this in just a little bit in that gap in the center. Might have to do a little cutting. I'm hoping not to have to weld on it or anything, that I can just bend it over where I want it, but we'll see how that goes. in place now. It looks like I can probably just do a couple of taps with the hammer just to do some little minute little shifting here and there. I'll get this top tacked in. I throw some tech screws. I'm going to throw some tech screws in the bottom here just to pull it up tight to the toe board for the rosette welds. Go ahead and finish welding it in, flat wheel it off, and that part's done. We've made some great progress. I've got a few little spots I want to weld up where I can see some light coming through on the firewall, and I want to get this brace finally cut out of here and out of the way so I can get everything finished welded in here. And then this bracket down on the side where you can see where the rubber weather stripping slides in, we're removing that. That is going to actually attach to the door, the seal will, and that'll just be a flush piece. So I got to remove that bracket and cut and butt weld that sill together and get that all cleaned up. And then that part of the floor will be done. And then I'm going to start measuring, making a template, and get the wheel back out and start making this tunnel. And like I said, I'm going to try to do it out of just one nice piece of sheet metal. So that will pretty much be my day.
Just gonna say something about the rolling cart.
Wow. Thought that one through. our first fit and trim. It's a little large yet, about 2 inches taller, and it needs to be about 3 inches longer. But yeah, this is only about 20 minutes of rolling time, so I'm going to keep working on this little dome in the back, get that down, and then just keep trimming until I get it down where I want it to be. I've got the initial shape here. It's pretty close to what I want. So I'm actually going to go in and start trimming this thing. I took a straight edge across the floor and made this line across the bottom. So that'll be about 1 inch or so from there to there. I'm going to get that trimmed. I got one on both sides. We'll drop it back in, see how close we are, and just keep taking a little bit off. The next one I'll do like a 1/2 inch, and then hopefully we'll go down to a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, whatever, to get it to drop. And as I do that, each time I will slide it forward and start to get this cut, because that should be one continuous cut all the way up and over. So let's get to trimming. Cab is done. The firewall is finally installed. The indent is done that's going on the back to outline the coyote, and we dealt with the issues with the floor. Actually able to get the tunnel all in one piece, which is kind of what I was, well, it's exactly what I was hoping. So that is beautiful. The toe board, everything, dash extension is ready to go so that we can start working on the center console. All the other little dents and dings that I found on the truck are done, ready for body work. Gas holes filled, back window is repaired, and the roof looks beautiful. So it is now time to build a truck.